Alright, I know some of you are going to say, come on now, man, after winning Game 2 and the news of Chris Middleton being out for the rest of the series, we're talking about the Bulls winning this series against the defending champions, that we're going to be taking out Giannis, a two-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, an NBA champion, a Finals MVP. Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I said it in the post-game video the other night after Game 2. This series is far from over. Despite the Bulls stealing one in Milwaukee to take home court advantage, it means nothing when you're going against the experience of the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that knows what it takes to overcome adversity, a team that knows what it takes to come back after being down, and a team that knows what it takes when they're suffering from an injury. Like, don't forget, this is the same Bucks team that took out the Nets in 7 games. This is the same Bucks team that was down 0-2 against the Suns in the finals and came back to win it in 6 games. They're not going to go away easily. But for today's video, this is more so a way of understanding what it's going to take for the Bulls to win this series now that they have evened it up and are heading back to Chicago, and the fact that the Bucks are going to be without one of their key players. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, really quick, thank you to all who left their comments in the Hot Takes video for the jersey giveaway. I did not expect to have that many commenters on their most memorable moments from the season, so it took me a while to compile all of the names, but after putting all of them together into a generator, the winner of the jersey giveaway, we have Sharik Issa. Sharik, congratulations. Send me a DM either on Twitter or on Instagram, and I'll make sure to send you the jersey. And a lot of people had the same most memorable moment of the season being those game winners from DeMar DeRozan, which I can't say I disagree with. Although seeing DeMar go on that epic run where he outpaced Wilt Chamberlain on 35 plus points on 50% shooting for like 8 straight games or whatever it was, that was pretty epic as well. But anyway, congrats. And don't worry guys, I'll be sure to have more giveaways even after my hiatus once the baby arrives. Just make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out when I upload a video. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get back into the content. So we've got ourselves a series here. Tied up 1-1. The next 2 games are at the United Center. At a minimum, we know this series is going at least 5 games. And I'll be honest, I had the Bucks winning this series in 5. You guys know, if you had been following my prior videos before the series started, and that was really because of the way in which the Bulls closed out the regular season. The fact that we were going to also be without Lonzo Ball after it was announced he was going to be shut down for the remainder of the year. It was also the fact that the Bulls just simply do not match up well against the Milwaukee Bucks for their size and length, and the fact that they really manhandled the Bulls in the regular season. So many factors led to this pessimistic view that the Bulls would be lucky to even win 1 game in the series. And let's be real, a lot of people had the Bucks walking away easily in this series, even Bulls fans, die-hard Bulls fans, because what we saw at the end of the season was a Bulls team that wasn't playing with heart, that wasn't putting in effort on the defensive end, that just looked completely gassed and fatigued on most nights, and quite frankly, looked like they had given up on the season. They were getting beaten badly by the best teams in the league, like not even competitive losses, and they were losing against some of the worst teams in the league who didn't even have a shot at the playoffs. I'm talking about teams like the Kings and the Knicks. Now, the day before the series started, I put out a video on one thing that the Bulls had in their favor in this series, because let's be honest, there wasn't a ton that was going to be in their favor going against the Bucks in a 7-game series. But what was in their favor was that the Bucks have so much more to lose in this playoff series than the Bulls do. The Bulls are playing with house money, and that everyone was counting them out going into this one, even their own fans, which I'm not saying that was not deserving of the fans, it rightfully so was. Like, as fans, we were pretty frustrated with the way the team was playing down the stretch, and why should we be giving them the benefit of the doubt going into the playoffs with their poor effort that they were giving after the All-Star break? Like, you really can't blame us. So everyone had counted the Bulls out. Not a single media pundit or analyst had the Bulls winning this series. You can go back and look. I saw 1 or 2 who said the Bucks would win in 6. Most said Bucks were going to be winning the series in 4 or 5. So the Bulls knew everyone was counting them out. They knew everyone saw this season as a first-round exit. And for the Bucks, they likely saw this as an easy first-round matchup, a likely sweep on their second run to an NBA title. For the Bucks, they have everything to lose in this series, because after winning an NBA title, to come back the following year and lose in the first round against the Bulls, a team that fell drastically in the final games of the year, to lose to a team that you had home court advantage on and a team that is without their starting point guard, Yeah, that would be an embarrassment for the Milwaukee Bucks, a team coming off a title with more or less the same roster, more or less fully healthy. I know Chris Middleton, obviously he's going to be out, but coming off of a title run to lose in the first round the following season is really bad. So the pressure right now is more on the Bucks than it is on the Bulls, and the Bulls have to take advantage of that. Now, as for the question in the title of the video, could the Bulls win this series? Could they somehow pull off the upset? My answer would be, well, of course, yes, they can win this series, but just a few things to keep in mind, because I always get excited when I see a team turn the tables and shift the momentum on their side in a given playoff series. But a couple of things to know, a little historical refresher. For some Bulls series that seemed like the Bulls were going to run away in a given playoff series when it was way too early to be making that kind of call. Here's some examples. One was actually when the last time the Bulls were in the playoffs 5 years ago before Jimmy Butler was traded. The Bulls took a 2-0 series lead as the 8th seed against the Boston Celtics. They came back to Chicago with a 2-0 lead, and they subsequently lost the next 4 games and lost the series. Yes, Rondo got injured. That obviously played a part in it, but the series completely shifted right back in favor of Boston. Another example, when the Bulls had the series tied 1-1 against the Cavs in the 2015 playoffs, they came back to Chicago, won Game 3 on that insane buzzer beater from Derrick Rose, which is still one of the greatest memories that I have as a Bulls fan. And with the Bulls having a 2-1 lead and playing Game 4 in Chicago, it looked like the Bulls were going to take out LeBron and go up 3-1. But of course, the Cavs won the next 3 games to take the series in 6. Yes, obviously there was a horribly missed call in the timeout that the Cavs didn't have in Game 4 that cost the Bulls that game, but we won't go there for now. And then, of course, the Bulls had 2 series, one in 2011 and the other in 2013, I believe it was, in which they won Game 1 against the Miami Heat in Miami and then went on to lose the next 4 games. So you get my point. This series is far from over. And you could very well see the Bucks wake up and spring into action and start taking the Bulls seriously and come out and win the next 3 games. I'd like to think that that's not going to happen, but it's something the Bulls have to be on the lookout for, that the Bucks are going to come out laser focused. Now, where I hope this Bulls team will approach this differently than they have in, say, some of the past playoff series that I just mentioned, is that they don't get complacent. They don't get down if Milwaukee takes a game in Chicago. They figure out a way to fight through the adversity, even when the momentum shifts back towards the Bucks, if it does. That's the challenge the Bulls have always had in the past. Not only in this season, but even in the D Rose era, the Bulls struggled to regain that confidence and momentum. Like even for that playoff series in 2015. After that horrendous no call on David Blatt, the Bulls hung their heads and didn't compete in the rest of the series. They actually got completely destroyed in the elimination game in Game 6, even though Kyrie Irving missed most of that game with an injury. For the Bulls, they have to go into this one with the mindset that the Bucks could very well beat them up. They could come at them hard in Game 3 after a bad loss on their part in Game 2, and the Bulls have to counter right back and play with that same fight, spirit, and energy that got them the win in Game 2. So look, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, here are all the things the Bulls need to do. Here are the players that have to step up. I've already done that in multiple videos leading up to this series. We've talked about how, in my opinion, Vucevic is the X factor of this series. Obviously, we need another game like DeRozan had in Game 2. Like, we can't have another 6 for 25 shooting night. Lavine has to be doing his thing and finishing at the rim. Patrick Williams has to do everything in his power to stop Giannis, but also provide some offense as well. And of course, the Bulls have to keep up the defensive intensity for which they have been playing with in Games 1 and 2, led by Alex Caruso. They have to do all of that for the Bulls to win this series. They have to be great in every game. For the Bucks, it's a little different. They can have some players be off and still compete. They're that deep and that good of a team, even without Chris Middleton. For the Bulls, everything has to be going their way, and it starts with the mentality they have going into each game. The mentality that they can beat this team despite odds being against them. The mentality that they can beat this team even when momentum starts to shift in the Bucks' favor. The mentality that they can beat this team even if Milwaukee takes the lead in the series. Changing that mindset to always playing hard no matter the circumstances, knowing you played an entire season to get to this moment in the playoffs and give it your all, leaving it all on the floor. It's funny because Patrick Williams said the other day about how he prepares, well, he was asked about how he prepares going up against Giannis, and he gave the most confident answer like a badass, saying, he's still just a person, get ready for him like you would anybody else. He said he's good, but he's not God, which I'll be honest, I thought that was going to come back and bite Patrick in the ass. But honestly though, like as good as this Bucks team is, and yes, on paper, matchup-wise, they are better than the Bulls, but as good as they are, This isn't like the super team of the Warriors with Kevin Durant. The Bulls have the confidence now that they can compete with this team. And the Bulls do have the talent to pull off an upset. It's about whether they approach it with the right mindset that they can take these guys out and putting them on the same level and not viewing this as an upset, but rather they're right up there with the best. And the best team is going to win the series. And hopefully that'll be the Bulls. I am curious to know though, how do you guys think the Game 2 win shifted the trajectory of the series along with the Chris Middleton injury, and just how important that win was for the Bulls for the series going forward? Let me know in the comments, and of course don't forget, which I'm sure you won't, Game 3 is tonight at 7:30 Central. I of course will have a live game chat for that, so feel free to join if you would like to chat during the game with the community. And as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.